Okay. So this is state of mind. First of all, because I'll forget, if you like what you see, subscribe, hit that little. I have Perry Shane today. Perry Shane is on General Hospital. I think he's underrated as an actor, and I think I know why. I think because he's very subtle, but it's my kind of acting that I love. And I remember watching him do a scene, and I said, "Damn, this guy's deep and subtle and good." And I, that's what I feel. Maybe he's not old. Maybe everybody thinks he's as great as I think he is.
What are you talking about? First time I've heard this.
So he's here, and I think in 4 Hatchet movies is the only actor that's done 4. And we're gonna get into this Hatchet movie because I'm not,
I'm surprised that's even on your radar.
oh
Wow,
man,
holy
I
cow!
like I get into weird stuff.
Right.
So here he is, Perry Shane. How you doing, bro?
I'm well. I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Mm. So you play Brad
Right.
on the hit show General Hospital. How was playing Brad?
It's been great. Unexpected.
Yeah.
When I first got the audition, I remember telling my wife, going, "I'm auditioning for General Hospital." And I had never auditioned for a soap opera. I didn't know anybody who was on a soap opera, in my
Yeah.
personal, because I had a lot of Asian American actor friends.
Yeah.
Nobody. So I was like, which was kind of great because I kind of went in with it like no expectations at all, instead of like something where you go into a pilot and you're like, oh my gosh, this could be it. I might get this, and then you get all that stuff goes in, and the work gets in the way of the work, right?
Right.
So I kind of went in there like, all right, here we go, and I see all these guys, like gorgeous, good-looking Asian men, and I've seen them all in like magazines. They're all like
No.
a foot taller than me, and I'm like, wow, okay. All I have to offer is I got to outact all these bastards. That's
Yes.
the only thing I
That's
can
all
do.
you got.
That's all I got. And so I just like let me just let her rip, and I guess that was different enough from what they were seeing, because I was really the only one that was kind of like my height. Literally everybody was taller than me. And I'm like just laughing. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So your character's gay.
Yeah.
My first job, my first play, my character was gay. I was great with that.
Right.
But that time there was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
stigma. This was like 30 years ago.
Yeah. And they're like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. What's up? And I said, I don't care. I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I'll play anything.
Right.
The only thing I was nervous about is before the kiss, I had to do 3-page monologue in front of like high school kids.
Right. Yeah.
Woo! That's what I was more nervous about.
Yeah.
But I think it's great that they do that. And General Hospital has they do great with stigmas.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm, as you know, bipolar, and my character's 29 years ago. He was bipolar.
Yeah.
So I want Brad to be my son now, because Michael is, he hates me.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, but he wants to take me down.
Right.
So maybe Brad can, but I love working with Lydia.
Oh, she's great. Yeah. We actually worked together a long time ago on Spider-Man 2.
No.
We came in to do there's like this Chinatown scene, and they needed the people to do like the background like voices to fill in the Chinese voices.
Yeah.
In Spider-Man 2, in the Chinatown scene, Lydia is all the female Chinese voices. I am all the male Chinese voices, being like old, young, middle-aged, whatever. So like, yeah, because
what were you saying?
like peddling food, I'd be like, "Ha gao siu mai," like,
No.
"Wei ba bang, which means, Dad, where are we going? And Lydia would interact with me. So they just needed some life in the background, you know, for that scene. And because that voiceover world is so small, they usually recycle the same people. But like because we were specialized that they needed Cantonese speakers, they brought us in. So that's, I mean, also knew Lydia, but I mean that was the first time of us working together.
So that was like voiceover.
Yeah.
You know, I just did voiceover for, I won't say a big, I did 2 big things.
Yeah.
It was, I just wasn't happy, man.
Oh, really?
Oh, man.
Why? I mean, you maybe can't say, but is it?
No, I can say why.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying what it was.
Right. Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest things out there.
Yeah.
They called me, I did one, and it was cool.
Yeah.
And I think I'm all right doing it, good. So they called me for like a bigger thing,
Right.
like 5 shows or 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just there's a technique to that.
It is.
It's not easy,
Yeah.
Harry.
I know. Yeah.
And I don't care how good of an actor you are, when you have to match up mouths and the feeling,
Right. Of somebody else's
yes,
setup. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
not easy.
But there's different types of voiceovers because I do a lot now, and I've done that, and I did tell my agent, I'm like, I'm not a fan of this style of dubbing like a foreign film or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's like,
Why don't you like it?
because it's someone else's performance, you know, that I have to like try to sync up with. Same with video games when they have stunt guys and I got to match their justification of them pointing to someone like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make that dialogue work when he's constantly doing that? So that's why I like it when I'm mocapped and I've got the dots on me so I can actually, it's off of my whole thing. So when you do that, that is, if you ever experienced that, that is amazing. That's actually my favorite type of acting because it matches, it's got the best of every world, right? You've got you don't have to wear makeup, right?
Right.
It's like a stage because you've got everyone with
Yeah,
you,
that's cool.
but you can do it over and over again like a film, right? Because you can take it over because it's not live. You can and the best part for me is that I'm not limited to what this looks like.
Yeah.
Right? They can make me like in one of the video games, I played the main bad guy. In live action, that's not happening.
No,
you know, I'm too boy next door looking. But here they just made me like 6'7". I just got to put on the voice and like all of a sudden.
You're like a dude. You're like a pro voiceover guy.
Yeah, I've been doing for.
And you got a studio in your house.
Yeah, my house. Yeah. So I actually love it a lot because it opens up a whole new world of stuff that I am not able to be brought in for in live action, you know?
So what is that? Wow, that's amazing that you're, because here I am doing 2 and I'm like, I retired.
But you know, I get it because when I first started out, because but we talked about this, that we come from the same acting studio, Howard Fine, right? And so I think that's why maybe you've caught some of the whatever subtlety stuff that I do. And I remember when I first started taking voiceover classes to learn like the little bit of technique, because the acting is the same, the breaking down the script is all the same, but the technique is like, so like I voiced this character and then I wanted to give a beat because I'm like, this character's processing. And then the teacher stopped me. She says, okay, just picture with animation, every time you take a little pause, that little mouth is like this. And the audience are like, why is this character, right? So you got to find a way to just find a way to justify you processing that beat, but without you not saying anything. So that all of a sudden clicks something with me. I'm like, okay, the acting is the same, but like the technique is just, you got to tweak it a little bit. And then once I got into that, it became a lot more fun for me.
Yeah, because, you know, there was times when they were on it though. They were good.
Yeah.
But they weren't very nice to me.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're just like, and they would say, you were not breathing when you said it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Oh man. And they're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how precise it is.
They can hear it. Like if you're like, could you smile when you say the
right.
right? Because and it makes a difference.
Yes.
A little bit of.
I don't know, man, but my last day, I told people, I left and I cried because I was so happy that it was over.
Right. Yeah.
Because it was just hard.
Because something new, right?
I've never done it.
Something that
Perry.
you thought that you knew.
Yeah, that
right?
I thought, I'll go in there, and no, it's not easy.
Right.
And they're probably a lot like you, where you've been doing it for so long. They're pros at it.
Right. Yeah.
wasn't a pro.
Right. Yeah.
They just probably like the tone of my voice.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not enough.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like with anything. Like when I first got on GH, I had been acting for 16 years. I thought I had seen it all. I've kind of done a little bit of like small movies, big movies, TV shows, whatever. And then I got on GH and I was like, all of a sudden I kicked my ass out of complacency because I'm like, whoa, okay. Which was exciting, but scary at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of film actors and stuff that come in and their eyes get big, man.
Yeah.
Because they're like, can we do that again? No.
It's
already, we're into the next set.
Yeah. And for us, it's it's easy.
We've been doing it for
yeah.
But I will say this, the difference, because I couldn't get arrested for like 20 years, or like more like 25 years. And then the last 5 years, I've done a lot of other stuff, right? And hey, Matt, that other stuff's not easy.
Yeah.
Because it's very smaller. And you got to do it so many times.
Yeah.
That, or I should say, I'm so used to 29 years on a soap opera to do it one take and get the hell out. I'm happy with that.
Right.
Now, when you got to do it his version, their version, everybody else's version.
I know.
20 take.
I know. I was recurring on NCIS, and going back and forth from GH, and my endurance for that kind of stuff was like lowered because I'm like, after 4 hours of doing the same scene, I'm like, we got this, man.
I know, man. Isn't that you just sit there bored. I hate people.
Right, yeah.
And the worst thing is when you're in your trailer and you're sleeping and you hear, they're ready for you.
Right. Like, come on.
And when I did John Gotti, I haven't really talked about this. I mean, in my book. I don't know if you saw my book.
Here you go.
Okay, there you go. You don't have to see it again. The executive producer just hated me and made it known.
Wow.
So I'm having to play this big figure, John Gotti, and the pressure was enormous.
Yeah.
So what I did, coming from Howard Fine, I became John Gotti all the time I was on the set. So when I would look at her, and then that helped me. Otherwise, I was done. I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
It was that difficult. Where'd you grow up? You grew up?
I grew up in Queens, New York.
How was that, man?
Yeah. It was a city kid, very self-sufficient at a young age, taking the bus by myself, stuff that I would never let my kids do by themselves. Take the subway to high school. Had some rough characters, but I mean, it was life.
But you can't do that now. Now is a whole
it's
scary.
Yeah.
So, Queens, New York. Have I probably been there, but just on vacation. And how was it growing up? Let's talk about some mental. Do you? I mean, you don't have to, but maybe you don't. Some people don't have anything to do with mental health.
Right.
How was it in your culture with mental health?
Definitely, it's something you don't talk about.
Damn.
Something you hide, and it's it's.
I talked to Lydia about that.
Okay. Yes, yeah. I saw the show.
Yeah.
So it's very similar. What she had touched upon, where it's kind of a shame thing, and you kind of keep that person away from the rest of the family members and just kind of sweep it under the rug.
Still, you think?
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Wow. I don't know. That has to end.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more awareness now that I think that, like, my kids are very clued into that now.
Yeah.
Almost probably too much on the other side where everything they automatically diagnose like something is, I was like, okay, well,
I get you.
let's just hold up,
Relax.
yeah, I get it. And I'm glad that you're sensitive to that fact, but I'm still a little bit of old school where it's kind of like, okay, it could be, I don't want to also, like,
Put fear.
enable it,
Yes.
but at same,
It's a touchy thing to, I mean, is that anxiety or is it not anxiety?
absolutely,
Or
yeah,
is it depression?
yeah,
Yeah, it's very touchy, but I mean, I just somebody wrote me and said to watch 60 Minutes on mental health, kids with mental health, and the amount of suicides. My goal soon is to just do state of mind. I still have actors and all that, but I want to do doctors and kids,
right,
and because these kids, I know what happened to me,
hmm,
but I'm an adult during
right,
COVID.
yeah,
4 months to get help, and almost 4 months too late. Okay, but these kids now, 2 years later, because people think the pandemic's over, but it's 2 years after now.
right,
The effects may be hitting a lot of them.
yeah,
They can't get help.
yeah,
It takes 4 months,
yeah,
or sometimes a year to see a psychiatrist.
yeah,
And I tell people, I say, how long does it take to take your life?
hmm, right,
Boom.
yeah.
And you're making these kids wait 4 months.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And it's unfortunate because my wife is a school teacher, so I know a lot of her friends and the people who are in the education system, and a lot of it was almost like how the arts used to be cut because of like, okay, we don't really see a value in that.
Yeah.
And with the school psychologist, it was the same thing. Like, okay, we'll only have he or she to come in for like 2 hours a day, and that's kind of what it still is. And it's like it's I think they're starting to realize that COVID has affected, and they need that person there, and they got to find the money to pull from somewhere,
Yes.
to get them there longer.
Because COVID, like I say, it's like you couldn't run, you couldn't hide, you couldn't run.
Yeah.
And can you imagine the first time people go through something?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been through everything, but during COVID, you're feeling these things. And it's like, what the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. It's a calling, and I'm gonna do it. Um, it's so important, especially for kids, man.
Yeah.
It hurts me.
Yeah.
It hurts me. Um, you did something with your wife. No, no.
We were young. We needed the money. Like, what's going? Where are you getting it?
That was good. No, you were taking pictures,
Mhm.
and I'll tell you why. But I want your story, and then I'm gonna give you my story.
Okay. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary in August, and we just happened to have her school event, her benefit dinner, at the same place that we got married in Camarillo. And so we're like, oh wow, we haven't been there, since we got married. So I said, we have these wedding photos. I'm like, let's try to recreate some of the photos and in the same places. So yeah.
I love that, man. I love that because it's a similar thing happened to me, but it was I was doing an interview with someone, and she said it was a 10-year anniversary.
Mhm.
She goes, you should have a surprise wedding. And I said, I'm not good at that. And she said, no, my husband did it for me.
Right.
It was Jane Carl, actually, from Entertainment Tonight.
Okay.
And I said, no, Jane, I can't. Jen, I said, I can't do it. She goes, no, you got to. I said, all right. So I make a long story short, I did it, right?
Right.
Planned it all. And I had tickets for my family to come out. And the wedding was going to be at my house. And my family, they sent the tickets to my house, and my wife saw the tickets. So I lied through my teeth, man. I said, Paula, we're going to Ricky Martin's island. That's what I said. I said, we're all going to Ricky Martin.
Right.
That was the secret. Okay?
Yeah.
So now you know.
Right.
And then a couple nights later, we were in a hotel. She thought we were leaving the Ricky Martin's Island. And I got on my knees and I proposed to her.
Oh, that's great.
And we came. She goes, "What am I going to wear?" I said, "The same wedding dress you were supposed to wear," because
Right.
we didn't have the wedding
Yeah.
before
Uh-huh.
that we wanted. So she put on the wedding dress, came to the house, and we got married out in the. And it was just
Oh,
all that
that's
stuff.
amazing.
It's important, man,
Yeah.
for the wives, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where'd you meet your?
We we worked at a boarding school in Ojai, California, so like an hour and a half north of here. And yeah, I was in charge of the boys' dorm. She was in charge of the girls' dorm.
No.
We were parents to like 80 teenagers. And that's what we did. We just basically, our job started at like 3 o'clock when they got out of school. We kind of like made sure they did their homework, did their activities, and at night did their homework. And then on weekends we took them on trips. And yeah, so it was great because during that time from the morning till 3, that's when I drove to LA and did my auditions, try to get an agent, all that kind of stuff, and then had this 123-acre, you know, compound, and with like hanging out with the kids, no
Wow.
stress, no bills to pay because all the room and board was covered. You got a salary, benefits. So it was like, it's a great way to save money and not have the stress of having to like hustle while you're trying to like do an acting gig,
Yeah.
trying to get your footing. And my wife, she got her credentials during the daytime and stuff like that. So
But wait, that's where you met her?
that's where we met. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you first met her, what was she? Did she kind of like you or not like you, or how was that?
That was, yeah, I kind of saw it and I was like, oh wow. You see the new the new coworker that we got, and we became really good friends because we had the very same sensibilities, same sense of humor. But she never kind of like saw me that way, and then
Oh, you were like in the friend zone?
yeah, I was in the friend zone, and she would like tell her friends like, oh, why can't I find a guy as cool as Perry? And
Oh, that's always the thing.
and they're all like, what? Then why don't you go out with Perry? So. And then ultimately, after like 3 years of us working there, I finally just like poured everything how I felt to her in this letter.
No.
In this letter, like 4 pages back and front, so like 8 pages. And we're hanging out, we're watching TV, and then I'm like,
Wait, so now you're like just buddies.
we're just buddies. We're just
And
buddies.
so you wrote this thing to her,
Yeah.
and she read it.
Well, first I said, I gave her this. I was going away for the weekend because I was like in a theater company. So like the weekend, sometimes I would go out of town. I'm like, we were watching TV because that's what we do when the kids go to sleep. We just watch TV, hang out. And I said, here, I got this letter. Don't read it right now. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna get out of here, and I'll see you. And she's like, okay. She's all confused, and then she's read it and me professing my love to her.
No.
Yeah.
How many pages?
It's eight pages. Yeah. 4 pages.
8?
Yeah, 4 pages front and back. Yeah. Yeah. I just kind of
Okay, wait.
poured it
This
all
is
out.
amazing. So you said, read this, you left.
I left because yeah.
How long before you came back to her?
Well, then she actually called me like a half hour immediately, and so like I don't know how to process this. You're my buddy and I love you, but like and so she just couldn't see herself in that space, and so I'm like, I poured my heart out.
Oh no! So now you're thinking you're being rejected?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was like, she wasn't. So then the kids have winter break, so that means we're off. So I'm going back to New York. I said, you know what? I'm sorry. Let's just go back to the way things were. I'm sorry. Come out with me to New York, hang out. I'll show you the city, all that kind of stuff, all my old stomping grounds. And I think once we were out of like that environment of the work environment, and we were just us, no kids, 80 teenagers, talking and be like, Mr. Shen, I'm checking out, going to this place, I think that's when it turned. That's when it's kind of, I kind of joke and be like, yeah, I got her on my ground, my turf. she didn't have a chance, but like she basically then started coming around because it became like this 1 week long like date, basically, showing her all of New York.
So at the end of the week,
yeah,
you were charming her.
yeah.
What's her name?
Kim.
Hey, Kim. Shit, Perry's here.
Yeah, there's more of that pizza in White Castle if you're interested.
So then, when did it click over?
It honestly, it was that quick after that trip, that New York trip.
So she said to you, Perry, I think I like you now.
Right. And yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Not in those exact words, as eloquently as
But
you
you
said.
hadn't kissed her yet.
It happened during New York, like the very last day before we're going back. Yeah. Yeah.
You were so happy.
It was because I honestly was ready to be friends again. And I thought that that trip would kind of be like the nice reset. I wasn't expecting to woo her in New York. So by the time then came back to work at the school after the holiday break.
Did everybody know you guys are
No.
together?
No,
You
nobody.
kept that
We kept it a secret.
for
Yeah.
how long?
Probably. Yeah, the whole time nobody knew. Yeah. Yeah. We worked there for like one more year after, and
Damn.
nobody knew. Yeah. This one time though, because we're in separate dorms, right?
Right.
And so one time we'd be hanging out in my room, but she's in the boys' dorm, right? And that's she's not supposed to be there really.
Right.
But then one time we kind of like we fell asleep and then we woke up and like the kids are going to school. It's hustle and bustle. They're all around. Like there's no way for her to get out. So there's this. I had back then. There was payphones. So the kid was outside on the payphone outside,
Right.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's not leaving. He's on this phone forever. And so what I did is like I pretended that I was moving this huge mattress.
Yeah.
I moved this mattress out, covered him up, and she snuck out behind the mattress. I did like a magic trick, basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny, man.
Yeah, so that's how I snuck her out because the stairs are right there. So I put this.
So after that, then you guys that was it.
Yeah, then I bought a place and then we moved out together because by that time she had her teaching credential. She didn't really need that job anymore. And I had an agent. I was actually doing a lot of acting jobs while working at the schools, and then it was becoming a problem scheduling wise.
Yeah.
So I was like ready to go acting full time.
So you've been acting full time for how long?
Oh, since I would say 2002.
Are you
2002?
You've been making a living
Yeah.
at acting since 2002?
Yeah.
Not too many people can say that, brother.
Yeah. No, I've been pretty fortunate to, but yeah, I mean,
Congratulations.
sometimes
man.
it's been hard, but
Oh, of course, but
you know.
still, that you haven't had to work another job.
Yeah.
Good for you. See, I told you were good. Now, Howard, let's just talk a little bit about Howard. Howard is he's kind of a, what is that, savant,
Right.
right? He's kind of
Yeah.
a genius
Yeah.
in that acting,
Yeah.
the way he teaches and everything. What was your experience with him? How long did you study with him?
I studied in the studio. I would say I was studied with Howard just 1 year, but then I stayed with the studio and I studied under his other teacher, Heidi Helen Davis, for another 3. So I was at the, and she,
Wow.
Follows, they're all on the same page. So basically, so it's like Howard's philosophies and Uta Hagen and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so for about 4 years.
Damn. Yeah, he's what happened with me with Howard. He called me arrogantly ignorant because one week I'd be like the greatest actor.
Yeah.
The next week I'd suck.
Uh-huh.
1 week I'd be the great, or 2-3 weeks straight I'm great.
Right.
1 week I'd suck. I didn't really learn technique, so that's where he said I was,
Right.
arrogantly like I don't.
What year was this?
Oh my God, that was probably 30 years ago.
Okay.
But he liked me, a
Yeah.
lot, and I kept going in there. And then one time I did a scene, and in the scene I decided to cry or something stupid. In the beginning of the scene, he stopped it. He said, "Maurice, that was the worst acting I've ever seen in my life." This is in front of all the kids, all the actors. And I said, he goes, "Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to kick you out of class. can't come back to class. Wow. Okay. I said, God, the stuff that I went through. And I said, okay. So he goes, but just, I want to talk to you after class. All right. So class ends, everybody leaves, and I feel like embarrassed.
Right.
So he sits me down. He goes, Maurice, everybody knows your talent is way up here. Okay. Your technique is horrendous. You have no technique. Okay. I got John, but I did play Desi Arnaz, and it doesn't matter because. And he goes, "You want to be Robert De Niro? You want to be Meryl Streep? You have to have technique. I believe in your talent. I know you have no money. I was broke. I will teach you privately for free, and then you pay me back when you want."
Wow.
So I kept going to him every week with a tape recorder. I'm going to cry right now. With a tape recorder. And he had me work on this thing called Danny in the Deep Blue Sea. And so I kept going in there and doing it, kept going in there and doing it. And I wasn't working, So I had a beard and shit.
Right.
And I was like, So finally, the last time I went in, I had this beard and I did it. And he goes, "You're done. You don't need me anymore." I said, "All right." He goes, "You go on." And I said, "But I'm bipolar, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, Danny in the Deep Blue, Danny wants to kill himself. I feel like killing myself because he taught me how to be the method, right?
Right.
He goes, "Oh, let's do a comedy and then you're done." So that's what we did. And I
Wow.
finished. And then I got GH about 6 months later and
Okay.
gave him his check.
Right. Wow. You had a totally different experience from me. I mean, it sounded like he needed to tailor it to you, to the person. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He knew what you needed, and it wasn't that format, of having,
He just hated that I couldn't learn the technique, the beats, and I think it pissed him off, basically.
Right. Yeah.
But he believed in me,
Right.
so he did that for me, and I'll never forget it. And now I know why you're right. Why I like what you do, because it's the same. Now I'm a member of the Actor Studio, and it's a similar technique. Howard's is similar to the method.
Right. Yeah.
But I think Howard's is like the method adapted to TV, film and TV,
Right.
where the Actor Studio, it's kind of old school.
Yeah.
But wow. What else?
That's crazy.
What else can we talk about? Can we talk about this Hatchet movie? Because is it called Hatchet?
Hatchet, yeah, it's a Hatchet
What
franchise.
the hell is Hatchet?
Hatchet is this guy who was deformed kind of when he came out as a child, and all the kids made fun of him. His name is Victor Crowley. And then he was at home one time alone, and the local kids were very cruel, kind of scaring him, throwing firecrackers and like freaking him out. And he's by himself, and one of the firecrackers catches fire to the home. This is like his wooden shed in the bayou. And his dad comes back and sees that, his kid is screaming in there. He gets a hatchet to try to like break open the door, but he doesn't know that his kid's face is pressed up against the door, and he actually accidentally kills his son. So there's like a huge scar, and the kid dies, and the father dies of a broken heart. But then things start happening in the swamp of people disappearing, and there's stories of this big guy with his slashed face yelling, looking for his daddy, yelling "Daddy," and that's when shit's about to happen.
Yeah.
And he's just his soul is in unrest. So that's where the legend comes from. And so in the first movie, I the swamp is
You're
shut
not
down.
the Hatchet boy.
No, 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 no. I'm not the hatchet boy. I'm this tour guide that takes all these people for these like swamp tours, and I take I take a legal route through when stuff is like sketchy stuff is happening, but I'm like I want to make some money, so I take all these innocent bystanders do this. I'm like, and I've got this Louisiana bayou accent. I'm like, hey, y'all try the crawfish? That's Victor Crowley's house over there. Some people say he's still crying for his daddy. And then like people are like,
That's the best.
but the best thing is that it's all an act. Like when things start like hitting the fan and people start dying, you realize that that's even an act. And he has this Asian accent, and he's like, oh, I just got this job here. I just wanted to make some money. And then when things really go bad, I drop that accent, and I'm like, hey guys, I don't know what is going on.
Oh my god.
So it's like a horror comedy.
And it's a successful. It was successful.
Yeah, yeah. And then the second one, so I mean, it's been out for a while now. So like the first one, I die. So like the ongoing gag is that I come back as somebody else in each movie. So
Oh,
in the second one I die, and the third one I come back as someone else. So yeah, and yeah, so
and you're the only one that's done 4.
I'm the only one that's done all 4 besides the guy who plays Victor Crowley, which is Kane Hodder, who also played Jason in the Friday the 13th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So me and him were the
And
only
where do you could see this on like TV and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Hatchet 2 I think is streaming on Prime right now on Amazon. But yeah. Yeah, we've done 4 of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, that's a cool thing to be able to do 4 of the same movie.
Yeah, yeah. And each one happens, so each movie takes place the second the last one leaves off.
Right.
Yeah, so like it's basically like the first 3 movies are like 3 consecutive days. Okay? And then the fourth one we shot literally like 10 years after the first one. And so by that time, I'm like the only survivor because everyone has died off and I'm still there. So like,
And what's your accent at the last?
just straight, just me. But the thing is that he's the only survivor, and he's written a book, and it's titled "I Survivor," and he's trying to make money off of like I'm the only one who survived, and like people who read the book because the director actually wrote a real book.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, so it's not just a prop, and he's like, and it's like all these like things that he's basically anyone who's seen the movie know that he's lying, he's taking liberties about some things that he did. So people who have fun having that element, and but like everybody thinks that since he survived, that he's the murderer. It becomes like an OJ Simpson situation where you're like, how are you the only one? There's like 50 murders. You're 5'7"? How are you the only one who conveniently survives? So
right.
there's like a whole bunch of people who think I'm the murderer. So like the fourth movie, we go back to the swamp because it's like the 10-year anniversary that they're shooting, of all the killings and of the murders. And so
Are they gonna have 5?
there's
Oh,
being
really?
Yeah.
So you lucked out in this thing.
This franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You may be the only actor that's done 5 in the same movie. I mean, there's not many actors
right. Yeah. Yeah.
that I can. I mean, maybe. Well, Jason's done a ton, right? But it's the same actor.
It's not the same actor. Yeah.
See
yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. So
We need to look that. I'm gonna look. We need to look
Right.
that up because that's cool to know. All right, man. We're gonna conclude this by saying I had a fun time, man.
Me too. We never get to talk.
No.
'cause our characters don't interact really.
Like
so.
I say to somebody, since doing State of Mind, I've gotten closer to so many people. It's just a little bit closer.
Right.
If I sit here with you for a half hour, an hour, whatever it is, I see you at work now. We're just a little bit closer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's the nature of going deep at times or having fun or whatever
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
So I it's cool. I appreciate that, man. And
Thank you. I mean, it's great. I know you talk to a lot of people, so it feels like I'm
part of the
part
club.
of
It's a
yeah.
club. It is I think this is kind of like a community, and you'll see. And I tell everybody, but nobody wants to believe me. But you'll see the love you're gonna get. You'll see. I won't even have to tell you. It's amazing, and love them back.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, brother.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.